Good morning, dear friends, and welcome to our online service at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. My name is June Cerveny, and I'm happy to be here with you this morning as your worship associate, along with our minister, the Reverend Margie Allen. Our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little. Our religious education classes for children and youth continue, and this week classes will be meeting on Zoom. I want to offer a special welcome to any of you who are with us for the first time today or who still might feel like newcomers. We are glad to have you here with us, and we hope you return several times to get a true sense of who we are as a community of faith. Unitarian Universalism as a living tradition has commitments to freedom of belief and an orientation toward inclusion, interdependence, and working for justice. You can find additional information about the principles we strive to live by on our website at uufsb.org or on our denominational website at uua.org. We welcome those who of all ages, abilities, and identities who are searching for a spiritual community. So that we can reach you and invite you in, please click the link now in the chat and fill out the visitor's contact info form. At the end of our service, you will see a link in the chat to sign up to receive our weekly newsletters and be informed about all that we have going on. At the conclusion of our service, all attendees will be brought into view so that you can unmute to meet and greet each other. Afterwards, we encourage you to join a small group chat using the link in the service chat or on our website. And there you will have a chance to get to know a smaller group of friendly people, and we are so glad you are here with us. We look forward to getting to know you. I have one announcement this morning. Starting January 31st, and that's tomorrow night, people, at 7 p.m., Reverend Margie and Reverend Linda Anderson will be facilitating the first session of a Zoom discussion series on what is white supremacy culture. They will be using the 2021 revision of Tima Okun's article as a basis for discussion. The announcement is on our webpage with a direct link to the reading, and together we will have an opportunity to create an open-hearted learning space. So please make some time to come. Email Margie to let her know that you are coming so that she can send you a Zoom link.
Let us enter into the spirit of worship with the sounding of our morning bell.
I light our chalice this morning with some words by Maureen Killeran. As the kindling of this chalice calls us to community, let there be light. As the flame of this chalice reminds us of our love, let there be light. As the glow of this chalice encourages us to hope, let there be light. Let there be light.
Well, since there may be a few of you here today who did not receive the snail mail letter sent to every member and friend last Monday, and who also did not see the special news feed on Friday, I will give you the skinny on those notices right now. I am retiring this summer. This will be my final congregational year with you as your minister. And this service was promised in the letter as a follow-up to that news. I hope you find it nourishing and reassuring, and I hope you will hear my love for you all over it. Some of the words you hear this morning will echo the following opening words, the much quoted words of E.E. Cummings from his poem called Being to Timelessness as It's to Time. Carry his words with you into the hymn that follows, number 9 in our hymn book, No Longer Forward Nor Behind. E.E. Cummings speaks now of love. Love is the voice under all silences, the hope which has no opposite in fear, the strength so strong mere force is feebleness, the truth more first than sun, more last than star.
But
Our responsive reading this morning is part of a poem Margie wrote a few years ago, a 5-part love poem to this congregation called Love is the Voice Under All Silences. The poem responds to the E. E. Cummings verse she read earlier in the opening words, and she used his words to describe the love that binds us as fellow spiritual travelers, now and always. This is the opening section of Margie's poem, word 1, Love is the Voice. I'm going to begin with the regular type. Please join Margie with the italicized words. Love is the note the universe sang at the beginning of time on the edge of space, the wave we ride into then and now, into here and there.
Love is the wave we are riding. Hold on.
Love is the voice that says under all silences, hold on, that says, take my hand,
That says, I am here.
that says, have a sip.
That says, close your eyes. That says, tell me.
Love is the voice under all silences that gives silence meaning, the meaning language can't contain. All will be well, but not in those words.
Not the well you think, not the be you think, not the all you think, not the will, not the future you can dream.
Love is the voice under all silences. It is the voice of now, here, right now on this white sheet, held in the notable net of this aria, washed in this lash of sunlight, while the steam from this teacup rises as the dollar bill leaves your fingertips for the bowl, now as the word forms on my lips.
Here, right now, in this company, love speaks.
Love's voice makes silence of all other voices. It is under them, singing.
She sings under this voice now. Listen.
This voice says, listen. And love adds in the silence underneath the word, your heart is beating.
Not in so many words, but loving. Well, I've decided to do something pretty radically unprecedented this morning on this Sunday that I set aside last spring to be the day I talk for the first time about leaving you. I'm going to repeat my Christmas Eve homily. Christmas has lingered in my mind this winter partly because I knew it was my last with you, but also I find because it was planning to be part one of my message to you today, and some of you weren't present to hear it. But before I return to my words that candlelit night, I want to say this right up front. I am leaving my ministry because I am confident that it is time for me to retire and for you to invite in some ministries that will prepare you for and take you into the next phase of your life as a fellowship. I realized a few days after the letter I wrote was out of my hands that the word retirement never actually appeared in it. So I want to assure you that all is well with us. Nothing bad has happened. I am not ill. Neither you nor I have done anything wrong to bring us to this moment in which our time together as minister and congregation comes to an end. It's just time. Something else is quickening, I am positive, among you and also within me. I need to attend to it, and so do you. Here's my Christmas homily for your late January ears. Hearing this story again, the story of a man and a woman visited by angels bearing news, the story of a baby awakening to his calling and to his history, the story of all those who saw in him a king and a savior and a light, and all those who did not. Perhaps you wonder, as I certainly have, what it must have been like to live in such a world. A magical world like that in which angels come down to tell us what's about to happen and to fear not this impossible, scandalous, or dangerous thing we must do, in which wise men forecast the birth of a king to be and an insurrection ahead, in which nature somehow frees a star to move among fixed constellations, leading shepherds and kings to the barn in which the tiny king's bedazzled parents found shelter on the night of his birth. How lovely it would be to be given a heads up, instructions and support and reassurance and GPS directions for the epically important thing we will without doubt accomplish in time. The thing that makes stories from ancient scrolls so valuable today, so repeatable and worthy of annual ritual, is that we have seen or will see, have been or will be, every character in the story at some point or another in our lives. Humans in the distant past lived one version of this birth story for sure. They preserved it because it felt important and helpful. We inhabit it and make it live again on nights like this. We pass it on from generation to generation because something we hear every single year in this timeless tale helps us navigate joys and challenges in the next new year of our life. Think about angels who've come to you with messages. Let me tell you one I knew. Back when I was a zitty, gangly, anxious 14-year-old, I found a friend in a woman who taught theater arts on the college campus on which my family lived. Her name was Mary Elizabeth Gowen. She went by the nickname Meg, M-E-G, her initials. She was kind and warm and funny and took an interest in me, her neighbor on Faculty Row. I became very involved in productions at the campus theater. I helped with set construction. I stepped in paint buckets. I hung lights. I learned how to be a stage manager. I ran lights. I did some acting. I traveled as a stagehand with the dance troupe. And I loved Meg. She was like a light at a time when my mother was mostly overcome by drinking and my dad most distracted and helpless. I would invite Meg into the house for iced tea just so I could sit next to her on the living room couch for a little while inside my crazy love-challenged home. I would say she saved me then, just enough. "Fear not," she said, over and over again to me, not in so many words maybe, but clearly. "You are light. All manner of things will be well." Meg rather magically re-entered my life some 20 years later. She was in her 50s, living in West Virginia and serving 2 small Presbyterian churches as minister. I already knew at that time that I would be a minister at some point in the future. But if anything is like a star in the east or an angel at the door, Meg was to me. As we walked around in her empty churches during one of my visits, I saw my own future shining in her. I knew it at that moment, and I was afraid. And so was she. Like Gabriel in Jan Richardson's poem, we were both bedazzled and afraid. She was afraid because she already saw in me, a cardiac surgery nurse, a glimpse of her own destiny. She had a cardiac disorder. She would die in a year or two later in the ICU after heart surgery, out of my reach in Ohio. We human beings often present the news like this. Okay, the good news is, followed by, all right, so now for the bad news. Angels give glad tidings always. Even if the announcement sounds pretty much like bad news to us. And then they say, fear not, which means don't worry, everything will be okay in the end. Or there's more to this story than you can even imagine right now. Or we've got you. Do not be afraid, said the angel to Mary. Do not be afraid, said the angel to Joseph. Do not be afraid, sang the angels to the shepherds in the fields. Do not be afraid, Meg and I said to one another. We said, I have charted your path, and though all will not be easy, all will in time be well. We saved each other just enough. Angels say it's simple. Love what does not belong to you. Love what will be broken. Love what mystifies you. Love what scares you. Maybe that sounds like Mission Impossible to some of you right now. Love and connection bring tidings of great joy wherever they go, though. We are alive, and there is more life ahead of every one of us, although how much exactly none of us can say. We are alive now in a vital community of faith. No one here is alone, and everything we do together is focused on living well ourselves and making life better for everyone. The angel Gabriel looked upon Mary and saw himself in her. In himself, her beauty, her light, and in himself also her fear and her trembling. He said, it was I who was dazzled, I who found myself agape when I came upon her, the woman before me, blessed and full of grace long before I called her so, shimmering with how completely she inhabited herself, inhabited the space around her, inhabited the moment that hung between us. We learn here together, up as close as we can get to the eternal shine of life, up as close as we can get to the candles that recall us to that shine, to make of ourselves a dwelling place for that far-seeing, all-enveloping, courageous, sacrificial, and resurrecting love of which the Christmas story tells. And on that path towards our Eastern Star, we too, each of us, could name this as our core aspiration: to completely inhabit ourselves, to completely inhabit the space around us, and to completely inhabit each moment of our lives, and to practice these arts together, so that even when the tidings our angels bring us do not sound glad at all, we have the confidence and the faith to say yes to the angel who sees clearly a future we cannot yet see, to say yes to the thing we cannot do, to say yes to the shining star that will show us the way. Amen. We move now into our time of quiet reflection and prayer, and I invite you to think of a time in your life when everything was suddenly topsy-turvy, when you were sad and afraid or furious and striking out, or stunned and paralyzed, or unexpectedly relieved of an intolerable burden, and quite overwhelmed with a sudden change and the prospect of loss alongside new possibilities in your life. Focus on one such memory that you recover. Try to remember how you found a path forward from there. Who or what helped you? What stood in your way? How did you get through the most challenging hours and days? How did you find a path forward? Who or what helped you? How did you get through the hardest days? Take these questions into the silence that follows, if you will. Be courageous in remembering the feelings with which you were flooded in that moment, in those days, in those months. Regard in that silence a photograph of a shining star. Is it breaking apart, or is it coming together? Were you? Are we? Which? So now into the silence. Didi and Peter bring us back in a while with hymn number 293, O Star of Truth.
Star of truth down shining through clouds of doubt and fear, I ask beneath thy guidance my pathway may appear. However long the journey, however hard it be, though I be lone and weary, lead on.
It is a spiritual practice for us to engage in the work of love and justice making by sharing our Sunday plate collection with an organization that does the good work of justice in the world. Our shared plate recipient for the month of January is Honor Our Indigenous Ancestors. This is a local Long Island organization that includes members of the Unkachuk, Shinnecock, Montaukett, and Matinecock nations. Their goal is to protect the graves of Indigenous people from excavation. The organization has been working with the Sylvester Manor Burial Ground Project to conduct an archaeological study of the Afro-Indigenous burial ground located there. Projects such as this will enable us to tell fuller stories about the history and traditions of the Indigenous peoples of Eastern Long Island. To offer your contribution, click the link posted in the chat, which will take you to the donate button on our website, or you can mail a check to the office. All of our gifts are accepted with gratitude.
That was completely gorgeous. So I'm calling this second half of my sermon today, Fear Not. That imperative, fear not, applies to me, to you personally, and to the congregation as a whole. Fear not. Fear not. In each moment, do the next right thing. Listen to the angel's song. Let the messages come through. Trust that one after the other, those right things will take us incrementally and on occasion quite abruptly down the path to the next blossoming, to the place or the work or the guide or the words that will serve as midwife to that next step towards transformation. So right up front here, I want to say to you all that you and I are not facing a trackless or hopeless path forward. There are certain steps we know to take. In your case, the process for ending our ministry together well, for securing an interim minister, for working with that minister to assess who you are now and what you envision going forward, for putting that assessment and that vision out there for prospective ministers to consider, for choosing among those who put themselves forward as candidates for your next settled ministry. All of that comes to you with handbooks and timelines and real person helpers. It's very much not a mystery. You will walk that path guided by search committees and by your board. And along that path, you will listen for the angel's song and reassurance. For me, for my family, maybe the path isn't quite as clear, but I will still be listening for signs of glad tidings, the next right thing. My wife, Linda, will be staying with Freeport for at least another year. We will continue to make the house we've occupied these 12 years ready for sale. We will be making forays into various spots in New England, probably mostly, in which we can envision living for the next 12 or 24 years in whatever retirement looks like. We have a list of priorities for our new spot, just like you will for yours. By the end of the second year, by the summer of, say, 2024, we think we will have moved there. Matthew 2, of course. Neither of us knows where or into what our interests will draw us after that point. It's not impossible to imagine either or both of us being engaged as ministers with other congregations, but if that happens, it will be because people in need reach out to us after we are settled and known in our retirement spot. We will have our ears tuned to the angel's song and reassurance. I have kept an ear to my body's sense of things, and I've been noticing for some years now that the energy required of me for a robust and creative ministry, the energy that I brought with me 12 years ago, has been gradually diminishing. It's a body thing, not a heart thing. And I've also noticed that my brain has never been more glitchy. I know it's part of growing older, but it scares me a little how much I forget and confuse these days. And I know I need to pay more attention to my body's fitness if I hope to live another 24 years. Bottom line, I know I could stay with you and do an okay job, but I'm not sure I would be able to give you my best for too much longer. And you deserve my best. And I committed long ago to being my best for you. There's really no good time to retire from work you're suited to and enjoy. They say the same thing about having a baby or getting a puppy. It's always the wrong time in some way, large or small. And the largeness or smallness is ultimately out of your control. I realize that retiring in the downward slope of a global pandemic, when I, along with every congregational leader and most other people here, are bone tired and COVID depressed, and the fellowship is facing a frightening deficit, might not seem like a good time for the minister to leave. But trust me, there is always going to be something that makes the time not right. And I have faith that your love as individuals for this fellowship will converge to lift the deficit, and that the prospect of new leadership and new directions will restore your flagging spirits and energy in time. I know that there are a wide range of feelings circulating right now in this virtual sanctuary we occupy. Some of you, I imagine, have been or are, will be absolutely heartbroken. You've loved my ministry to you or to the fellowship or both. You can't imagine fellowship life without me, particularly maybe my Sunday presence. For some, I'm the only minister you've known. I've heard from some of you already, and I know I'll hear from more. But there's probably also anger in the mix here, disappointment, a sense of untimely abandonment. I've made plenty of mistakes over the years, hurt feelings, said the absolute wrong thing at a critical time, failed to notice something important, been unresponsive, sent more than one or two harshly or carelessly worded emails. Probably less than 500 though. Interrupted you, shamed you, pushed you too far. And I've also been ashamed of myself of how I've acted, behaved, a mistake I've made, and I've backed away. There are people who have left the fellowship because of some of those things. People who may come running back when I'm gone. I hope to make amends with those of you who are still engaged and have been hurt in some way. We have time. We have time for all of it. I promise this. I'm going to love you to the very end. Every one of you. I'm going to help us do everything we can to say a good farewell step by step. And in the long run, I will be interested for the rest of my life in what happens next for the you are becoming as individuals and as a community moving through the generations. I am leaving, yes, but I am yours forever. And you are mine. There are little bits of me that are going to outlast my body inside this fellowship we share. The star you are looking at during the meditation is a reminder of how things are always in flux, whether we want them to be or not, whether we want to see it or not. Our job is to be as mindful as we can of the process and to let it make us wiser and more fit. Life crumbles into little pieces and reassembles into some new configuration in cycles we can see and name in retrospect, if not in the moment. It is hard to say in any still moment whether we are falling apart or coming back together. But rest assured, the star you follow, the star you are, is whole ahead of you and whole behind you. And in each moment between the past and the future, an angel is right there in front of you, looking at you and making an announcement. Behold, I bring you glad tidings of great joy, which may sound like disaster to you. Transformation is imminent. Fear not. Now let us sing. Amen.
Our song is hymn number 368, Now Let Us Sing, by an anonymous composer. This is a two-part zipper song, which means that only one word changes in each verse. There are two parts. I'm going to sing the first part twice, and then we'll add the second part. Now let us sing, 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 and that line repeats. And then the next line is lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. And the second part is sing to the power of the faith within. Sing to the power of the faith within. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the faith within. Let's go. Yeah. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Lift up your voice, be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the hope within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the hope within. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the hope within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the love within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the love within. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Now let us sing to the power of the love within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the joy within. Now let us sing. Sing to the power of the joy within. Lift up your voice. Lift up your voice. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. Let us sing to the power of the joy within.
Isn't she cute? Oh my God. Colleague of mine. So for closing words, I have another section of the poem that I wrote for you guys. I think it was a Valentine's Day Sunday. This is the third section of it. It's called Word 3, Love is the Strength. Love is the strength so strong, mere force is feebleness. Love is a martial art, you know. More yield than push, more touch than blow, more bend than break, more slow than sudden. Love is the strength of 60 years of being here together, so strong. The strength that met the wars, the hurricanes, the floods, the deaths, the deficits, the arguments, the damage. The strength that witnessed the vows, the credos, the births and dedications, graduations, birthdays, anniversaries, retirements. The strength that said goodbye, we remember, thank you. the strength that remembers still. Love is the strength that brings our principles to life, that values, respects, accepts, searches, discerns, frees, connects. Love is that strength that adds virtue to virtue, subtracts weakness from weakness, makes of community our highest self. Love is the strength that makes of a sword a tool for turning the earth in springtime. More yield than push, more touch than blow, more bend than break, more slow than sudden. Love is a martial art, you know. You move like warriors through your days and years, supple, fluid, attentive, wise, generation by generation, putting the world in its place, knitting sky to sky, sewing field to field, piecing the quilt of who you are and why you're here and what you want. Love is the strength so strong, mere force is feebleness.
Hello. I hope you are warm and cozy on this cold and wintry day. I want to thank Jess Pond for bringing this reading to the attention of the board. Erica A. Hewitt's At First Comes the Waiting. This is the season of beginnings and endings, when the small signs of dawn pierce through the night and something new is born. But first comes the waiting. First come the lessons of endings and beginnings. The presence of life, the sheltering spirit of love, grieves with those sweeping up the debris of loss, waits with those who restlessly reach out for change, grants us courage in the night to guard each other's dreams for this holy, wondrous universe. Grant us, O universe, unfolding in mystery, a sense of your timing. Teach us the lessons of beginnings. Remind us that such waitings and endings may be a starting place, a planting of seeds which bring to birth what is ready to be born. Something right and just and different. A new song, a deeper relationship, a fuller love in the fullness of time. This may seem like the worst time for an ending, with a pandemic and tears in the social fabric. But as Erica K. A. Hewitt reminds us, first comes the waiting. We are also on the verge of a beginning. Many of us might wish we had been able to convince Margie to stay, but she had made a decision that is right for her, and she deeply believes is right for the fellowship. Rather than mourn a loss, we need to celebrate the 12 years she has been here, and then, in the waiting, prepare for welcoming a new voice into the sanctuary. It is a loss, but it is also an opportunity to reflect on where we are as a fellowship and envision what we would like to become. How can we strengthen our community and reach out to those in need of a spiritual home? The Board of Trustees has known since October of Margie's decision, and have used that time to contact the Office of Transitions at the Unitarian Universalist Association. They have outlined options and provided a timeline for moving from one settled ministry to the next. Following their advice and after reflection, we are preparing for 2 years with an interim minister. The first year is dedicated to evaluating where we are as a congregation and the second to carve out a vision of where we want to go. After those 2 years, we hope to welcome a new minister. Our first step was to contact Pat Infante, a representative of congregational life in the Central East region. She has proven herself to be a valuable resource as well as a guiding hand. She has agreed to talk with all of us once we find a time that works for her. We are also creating a search committee, chaired by June Cerveny, that will undertake finding the right person to help us through the waiting. Throughout this time of transition, the board will do everything in its power to be as transparent as we can be, and to keep you informed of where we are in the process. Change is seldom easy, but it is an opportunity to embrace what is good in the life of the fellowship, and to imagine what we can become as a beacon of the values that are at the core of Unitarian Universalism, and the loving spirit that binds us together as a community. I close with the words of Mickey Scott Bay Jones. This space will not be perfect. It will not always be what we wish it to be, but it will be our brave space together, and we will work on it side by side. The board and I look forward to working with you in this time of transition. So thank you very much, and take care.
As we weather winds of change, may we have the wisdom to cherish moments of stillness. As we recollect times of challenge and pain, may we remember also graceful blessings of our lives. As we look to future unknowns, may we have the boldness to trust that there is an unimagined good yet to come.
In benediction, these words from the first hymn we sang this morning, O Star of Truth. O Star of Truth, down shining through clouds of doubt and fear, we ask beneath thy guidance, our pathway may appear. Amen.